Well, everyone, it's happened again. Greig Fraser is being revolutionary in the world of cinematography for movies. And the big news as of late is The Creator, starring John David Washington. So this new movie's cinematographer was Oren Soffer and Greig Fraser. And the things that they have done to film this specific movie is kind of revolutionary. It's new stuff. It's utilizing new technology in new ways. So let's first get into this very interesting article from YM Cinema Magazine that I came across. It's titled The Creator, an IMAX movie shot entirely on the SONY FX3. When I first saw this, I was like, oh, holy crap, I've used the SONY FX3. Are you telling me that someone I respect as much as Greig Fraser is getting his paws on the exact same cameras that I have used on productions I've been a part of? That's what would be implied here. The Creator is an upcoming American science fiction action thriller directed by Garth Edwards. The film stars John David Washington and others. Music composed by Hans Zimmer on an estimated production budget of more than $80 million. Principal photography began in Thailand of 2022, with Greig Fraser and Oren Soffer serving as cinematographers. It's important to mention that Fraser was involved mainly in the pre-production phase and had to leave to shoot Dune Part 2, hence the main lead cinematographer was Soffer. To give the film the feel of classic Hollywood epics such as Ben-Hur in 1959, the filmmakers opted to shoot the film in 2.79:1 ultra-wide aspect ratio. However, there's an IMAX ratio as well. This is kind of big news. I remember back in the late 2000s when the red cinema cameras were coming out and they were really being revolutionary in Hollywood movies going to digital and leaving the film format. And there are people who still use the film format, famously Christopher Nolan and Jordan Peele. However, in the digital world, there's a lot of cool new things. And this is not the first time a prosumer, smaller camera has been used on a Hollywood production, but it is one of the first times that it's being used for a movie that is going to be watched in IMAX. Pulling it up on B&H, the price tag comes in without any glass at $3,900, which, as said previously, I have used this camera and it is worth the money. If you get some good Sony lenses to go with it, it's beautiful. It's very fun to use and very easy to use, and you can throw it in a backpack. It's so small and it's so versatile. It's really incredible that they've chosen to go with a camera like this. And, $80 million is a big budget, but when you have a camera that is so cheap compared to the budget for this film, you can probably really maximize how many cameras are actually on set and really save a lot of time by getting multiple angles at the same time. The technical highlight from a cinematography point of view of The Creator is that the film was shot on the Sony FX3. There was a solid discussion on the internet about that. Many have claimed that the main camera was the Arri Alexa 65 and that the FX3 was a marketing stunt by Sony or by Fraser. Indeed, initially it was written on IMDb tech specs that the film was shot on the Alexa 65 combined with the FX3. However, the Arri camera was deleted and the Sony FX3 remains the main camera. Moreover, Fraser told before that he was truly impressed with the Sony FX3 as stated. It's an amazing prosumer camera. I'm about to use that on a film I'm shooting in Thailand, The Creator. I'm about to shoot the entire film on this camera. It's so ridiculous that it's so small and has such a high ISO in such a small camera. This magazine also provided some pictures that were taken on set to kind of prove that this is the only camera that was used, and based on the rig I'm looking at, that is not a Arri camera. That is definitely something small, and it's kind of hidden in shadow there, but I would be willing to assume that is the Sony FX3. It's really interesting that they would use this camera because it's also going to be viewed for IMAX theaters. If we take a look back at B&H, We can see the ISO specs sensitivity that Greig Fraser was talking about. It can go from 80 to 102,000 in manual mode. That is a large spectrum, I've got to be honest. Also, with external recording, you can do raw 16-bit via the HDMI port at full 4K, and it can record from, the standard 24 frames to 25 frames, 50 frames, all the way up to 60 frames per second to get some decent slow motion even in that high resolution 18-bit RAW format. Based on my own experience in the past with this camera, I do know it can shoot 120 frames per second in UHD 4K internally through XAVC formats. So it's an extremely powerful camera. If we are not mistaken, this is the first time a blockbuster shot on prosumer cameras is being aimed at IMAX screens. We all remember The Possession of Hannah Grace, which is a Hollywood production shot on the Sony a7S II, and of course the excellent Act of Valor, which is the first DSLR Hollywood film. However, these films were not intended to be screened on IMAX screens. The creator is definitely the first movie shot on a prosumer camera that cost less than $4,000 and aimed for an IMAX screen. So once again, Greig Fraser is involved with something really pushing the industry, really breaking conventional norms in the filmmaking, movie-making world. And he's been doing this the whole time. Honestly, when Greig Fraser is attached to a project, I'm more interested in what he's doing than I am the actual director of the film. No offense to, directors like Denis Villeneuve with Dune. It's such a great movie, and I'm really looking forward to the second one. But when I see the cinematography, I'm just like, man, I gotta appreciate Greig Fraser. I hope this was insightful, I hope this was interesting, and I'd love to have more discussions about this. If you have insider or just, more references on this topic around the creator, on what Greig Fraser and Oren Soffer did for this movie, leave it in the comments. I'd love to talk to you down there. And if you'd like to see another video about some really cool things that Greig Fraser's done on productions, like one in the past, The Batman, just check out the next video that's going to be recommended right here, and I'll see you over there.